welcome to another installment of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed, the Mind Management Mentors podcast. I'm your host, 𝗄𝗍, the UK's leading mind management coach, self-titled, I'll have you know, Mike, very much self-titled on that one. It's a great identity to go for, to be recognised as the UK's leading mind management coach. So today we are going to be talking about coaches building their business, and it's an absolute minefield when you're a coach and you're going through. It's like, how do I get my clients? How do I start getting my name out? How do I get my authority out? So I wanted to come to yourself. And before we go into that, I'm going to allow yourself to introduce yourself as if you were on blind date. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Okay, thank you very much. A pleasure to be here. Thank you, 𝗄𝗍, for inviting me. My name's Mike Holman. I am the BNI UK National Director. I've been involved in BNI for 26 years, started off as a member, worked my way through many different roles within BNI, and we effectively help people grow their business with less effort and in a quicker period of time, I'd like to think. And that's really what we do.
You say it with a smile. I like the smile as you said that.
Well, there's lots of different ways that you can try to define what we do. And I think even after 26 years, we kind of find it hard because there's so many different facets to sort of how BNI will help people's businesses. People use it for different reasons. But ultimately, we want to be able to help people basically win more business, but do it quicker and do it with more ease. And if we can do that, then we're winning and helping other people win.
And we do it with a smile on his face if we can.
Absolutely.
So before you got to national director status, what was your original business then, Mike? 'Cause funnily enough, I actually don't know that.
Yeah, it's maybe a funny story, maybe not. I was actually running a golf club. I was a very bad golf professional, so hence had to go into running golf clubs rather than actually playing golf. But one day I got approached by a gentleman in the car park, a name you may be familiar with, Terry Hamill. I never knew the gentleman, and he turned around to me and said, "Would you like to start hosting these breakfast meetings at your golf club?" And very long story short, we started doing those meetings. After a few weeks, I went along to see what it was all about. I felt like a fish out of water. I was a golfer, so Pringle check trousers, jumpers, and things like that. And I knew there'd be a bank manager, solicitor, an accountant in the room, and really didn't feel I fitted into it. But everybody made me feel really welcome. Some great people. I saw some great business being done between them. And with a few conversations that went on afterwards, I was pretty much sold on it. And therefore, I was in. I took a leadership team role within the group. I then became somebody who supported the region in Merseyside, this was, and then have just got myself more and more invested into it, became a franchise owner in BNI. And then 4 years ago, almost became national director.
Nice. So, if I'm allowed to ask, did you join the BNI for your golf? Was that what was the
Yeah,
purpose of you joining the BNI? Yeah, we saw that the money was passed, we saw the great business, but how are you
yeah.
going to gain from that?
Well, I mean, I look, every business I'd like to think can gain from BNI if you've
Yeah,
got the right mindset and you know what you
it is a
want. We wanted to
mindset
grow
thing.
as a business. We wanted to get on. I mean, we had a golf club that could have weddings, it could have birthdays, it could have funeral ceremonies there and wakes at the golf club. We wanted to grow our corporate golf membership. We wanted more golf members. I mean, there were so many opportunities for us to actually win new business. It staggered me that more golf clubs are not involved as members in what we do because it was quite an easy win. It was actually because of the members in the chapter that we actually started offering corporate golf memberships because they suggested it to me. Why don't you start doing corporate golf memberships? I'm like, well, there's a great idea. How many? The accountant can bring three of his best buddies along, and the solicitor could do that. And so we sold a package which was for people that could actually bring your buddies to come and play golf with you professionally, and we sold memberships that way. So it was a real win-win situation.
So just off that story alone, I'm sat here thinking, we are in a golf club, they're not a member, and we could actually make massive. They're missing out on a trick.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
genuinely are missing out. I can't. I'm just sat here thinking that's one of the easiest wins possible.
Well, look, if you want to put them in touch with me, I'm happy to have a chat with them and tell them how it worked for me.
Because I know there's a lot of golf courses struggling. I know they always, oh, this time of
Absolutely.
year we are struggling for our membership and all these kind of things, and
Yeah.
memberships dip, and oh, we're struggling. And I'm just like, you're absolutely right. Even because I know there's so many golfers in our group as well. Anyway, that's a little vie off to the other direction. So there's something when we first met at the last conference, you said something, and I was like, that's a really good point because there's one of them, two of them, three of them. I've been in that category before where you said, I've got a bit of a photographic memory for conversations, not faces. Mike, I'll be honest, terrible with
Okay.
faces. But I'm really good at conversations. It's one of those freaky things. I don't know where it comes from. And you said, I used to be a BNI maverick. And I used to be the one that will, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And I remember when I was in management and leadership, that we were always that way, that inclined. Well, what about this? Let's look at this, look at this. And you actually stood up on stage and went, you know what? Everything's there in the package. We don't need BNI Mavericks. We just need to follow. Because we'll talk about networking nightmares after we've talked about the BNI and stuff like that and why BNI works for you and for me, obviously. But what was it about you wanted to be a BNI Maverick? And what was the light bulb moment for you to go, oh, I don't need to do that anymore?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, look, when I first joined BNI, I was a lot younger man than I am now. I think I was like 28, 29, something like that. And I had a head full of ideas. I was full of myself. I had lots of confidence about what we could do. And I saw this BNI system, and I said, yeah, but we could just do it this way. And why don't we just do it that way? And so I was the maverick who thought I knew better. I thought, like, look,
Yep.
let's tweak it, let's change it, let me do this. And you know, I don't class myself as an entrepreneur. There's a lot of people out there who are very successful entrepreneurs, and I take my hat off them to them. But I kind of had this like wanting to challenge things, wanting to change things, which probably a lot of entrepreneurs want to do. But I quickly learned that actually I was investing so much time in trying to change things that weren't broke that actually were distracting me from other things which I should be doing. And particularly as a member, I should be focusing on my 60-second presentation, doing really effective one-to-ones. I'm going on the training courses rather than trying to sit there going, right, what should we do this week to change it, make it better? And I for years now have said to people, listen, you are all as members, as leadership team members, you are extremely busy people. Your time is so precious. Trust the system, please, because it has been going for 41 years now. It is proven in 77 countries. It has grown year on year for all of those 41 years. You don't need to come in and change the process and the system. Trust it. And I know that's a bit of a leap of faith for some people
It is.
because why
It
are you
is.
just going to come in and trust something somebody tells you about? But I think also we need to be smart enough to invest in ourselves and how we can utilize the system and the process, which is proven to work. And I keep using the word proven because I'm somebody, prove it to me before I do it. I'm not
Absolutely.
just going to do it on a whim because somebody says I've got a great idea. I like facts and evidence. And what BNI gave me when I kind of penny dropped was the facts and evidence that this works nicely if you execute on it well. And the challenge that we find is that people who spend a lot of time trying to reinvent, tweak, change things, they're doing it almost because they've not focused on executing the fundamentals really well in the first place. And if they did just the end fundamentals really well, they would get the result they need anyway, rather than trying to recreate the wheel.
So we've started off talking about BNI, which is brilliant, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there was a journey before that you didn't even know about BNI. And look, for any coaches watching this, anybody watching this, any kind of business watching this, to be fair, I never really understood. In fact, actually, I'll tell you why I got into networking. It was one of my friends who was a hypnotherapist and he was getting loads of clients. And I don't do hypnotherapy, but a mind management coach helping people overcome fears and phobias and trauma. So I genuinely was like, what are you doing? Because I'm doing the social medias and doing these kind of things. He went, oh, I've joined a networking group. I'm like, what's that? Because that I was new. You know, when
Yeah.
anyone's starting this, it's very easy to become a coach, whether it's NLP, life coaching, whatever. It's very easy to become the coach, but to actually build the business is completely different. And it's a whole new minefield and ball game for anybody watching this. And I'm always very open and honest about that. And I went, where are you getting the clients from? He went, I'm in a networking group. And to be fair, I don't think it was at the BNI, but I was like, what's that? He went, well, it's where all these professionals get together. And I was like, all right. So I posted on Facebook, any networking groups where I live. And one person got in contact and said, oh, we run a BNI. Do you want to come for a chat? I'm still best friends with her now. To this day, I'm still best friends with her now. So a shout out to Amanda Gillespie in case she often watches this podcast. And I was like, all right, okay. So this is the experience that I got, which I think is really, really powerful. So I'm not an overly expensive coach. I know there's coaches out there that spend £5,000, £10,000. I'm not that kind of person. I'm like, look, there's value in what we bring, and I'm very happy to be able to charge. But it is more than what Bob and Sue can afford on my street, to be fair. So I remember a Grant Cardone thing, which was, look, whatever you're going to charge for your services, make sure the people in that room can afford it, or you move into a room that can afford it. And I went to Dunfermline, which is about 20 miles away, and I got invited in. I was greeted, made to feel welcome, made to feel extremely, in fact, really welcome. And I was in a room with people. You may have noticed confidence is not something I've struggled with, Mike, to be fair. On the four conversations we've had, I think we know that confidence is not an issue for me, right?
Absolutely.
And I just remember being in that room going, oh, this is serious business. This is you could just smell the contacts. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh no, they're a hell of a lot more well connected. I mean, I'm like down in a little village. I'm like, oh, this is for me. And I remember, I've told you this already. I sold my tag watch, to get into the BNI because I knew the value of it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now I did get scammed on the tag watch, so I never got the money for it, but I found the money elsewhere to go and get into the BNI. And it's genuinely been one of the best things I've ever done. However, because I was welcomed so nicely and I was starting to get referrals and introductions and things like that in the room, I thought, all right, networking is where I have to spend all my time. So I went and joined some other networking groups. And I used to go and I was like, well, this is not networking. And I was like, well, this is just having a coffee and a chat and, I'll get back in contact with you and then never see him again. And I was like, oh, well, so I genuinely, my first experience of networking was a fabulous experience of like, I need to get in that room to go and try other ones and go, oh, well, that's pointless. So that's some of the networking. So if somebody's watching this, I think it's powerful to be able to talk about what's good networking, should you be looking for in networking, and to share some of your networking nightmares before you join the BNI, or what's happened with Mike, the experienced ex-golfer.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, people may find this a bit of an odd thing for me to say as a out-and-out BNI. I think all networking is amazing. Yeah, I mean, and I generally, I will not say BNI is better than other networking organizations. Right. We're very niche at what we do. We're very niche at what we do because we very much focus on, we're a business referral organization. We bring together local businesses to focus on, and we have structure, we have policies, and we embrace them, and we love that. And our members love the structure and the focus we have because it gears towards creating referrals. That's not what everybody wants. And I completely respect and appreciate that. So there is lots of networking out there. What I'd say to everybody is, and people say to me, oh yeah, don't like BNI. I said, oh, when did you go? I've never been, but I've heard about it. I would say to everybody, it's like, go to all networking, at least look at it and try it, because you're going to go into one that goes, this is where I feel at home, like you did.
Yeah, you mean
somebody will come to a BNI meeting and go, I feel at home here. That's fine. I will never say we're the one, because we don't intend to be the one, because we have structure and processes and systems in place. And I say that appeals to our members. I mean, all 10,000 of them. I mean, in the UK, 370,000 globally. It's a big thing, but it's not for everybody, and that's fine. So what I'd say to people, my first, if it is to give like tips or like what not to do when your networking's not working, I mean, the first thing to understand is really what are you looking for from networking? Are you actually looking? So you got to have people, I would encourage them to invest the time to think, what am I going to this event for? What am I going to this networking group for? Why am I signing up for this membership? What is the outcome I actually want? Now, if it's saying like, I want business from it, now I believe all networking events can give you business, but you've got to appreciate the level of investment you need to make into it. Because all networking is about relationship building.
It is.
It's rare to go into a networking event, and everybody'd love this situation to go into a networking event and somebody says, "Oh, Cuddy, I'm glad you're here. I need your services." Now, that may happen on an odd occasion, but let me just ask you, Cuddy, for all the networking events you've been to, even in BNI, on the first day, did you get people throwing opportunities at you?
Actually, the my being I did, but no, not other places. No,
You are unique in many more ways than one. You are
I got
unique.
my money back very quick.
Well, that's great to hear, but it's rare. And the thing when you speak to most people about networking and you ask them honestly, why are you going to network? And they'll say to grow my business.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to a networking event with the idea they would like to win some business from that networking event. They want to make some money from that network. They want somebody to buy from them. If you ask the whole room of people at a networking event, you said, right, stop everybody, pause. How many people in this room came to sell something? Every hand, let's say amongst 100 people at the networking event would go in the air. Then ask them another question. How many people in this room came to buy something?
None of the
No
hands
hands
go
would go
up.
up. So you've got an issue with networking to start with that everybody wants to sell, nobody wants to buy. So how do you make networking work? And that's really, I would encourage anybody who thinks about goes to networking is what is my objective from the networking? A fantastic sales trainer, Andy Bounds, who's going to be speaking at our national conference, our 30-year anniversary this year, taught me many years ago and many people in BNI years ago, what is the outcome of a great networking event? Business, money, opportunities, all these buzzwords. He said, coffee. Coffee. All you want from a networking event is somebody to agree to have a cup of coffee with you because you're not going to make a sale in the room. Somebody's going to be listening and go, well, I made a sale. On the odd occasion, it can happen. And if you get business, congratulations. But generally, people don't like being sold to.
No, I hate
Never
it.
have done. So if network is not, don't sell to the room. We say that in BNI, in any networking, don't sell to the room.
Yeah.
See how you can develop a relationship with somebody. How can you help them? And if you think you can help them, but you know they can help you, or you think you can help you, as we like to use in BNI, take the attitude of givers gain.
Yeah.
How can you help somebody first, and then maybe they'll help you back in return, rather than what can you take from them?
Yeah.
Because they're not so willing to give at that point.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I know I did a podcast with Al, and I'll put it as, look, there's always going to be givers and there's always going to be takers. And it's understanding that the power of who we give to and why we give to, and that should minimize the amount of takers that you have. But there's one thing that, or from your point of view, instead of my point of view, from your point of view, what's the scariest thing about BNI that I think I know what it is? Because you said at the beginning, joining a BNI or any kind of networking, it's a mindset thing. It's definitely a mindset thing for BNI.
Yeah.
And I do love it. There is some days I don't love it. There is, but that's a me problem, not a BNI problem. And I'm always very open and honest about that. But what's the scariest part about BNI? Being honest, Mike. I think I know the answer, but I want to know, Mike.
Well, I think everybody's gonna have their own different answers to that.
Yeah.
I think there's two things I hear fairly consistently from people. One is the ability to give referrals. So the first thing is they're worried, what can I give to other people? I hear this constantly. I could see how it can work for me, but I'm really worried about what I could give to other people.
That is very good.
And so they don't get involved because they're afraid they can't give, which is a wonderful thing to hear because it already means they've got a giver's mindset.
Yeah.
Because they're already thinking at the outset. And so we really try to work with those people to help them understand about their network. Because unless you live in a cave, you have got a network, friends, family, social clubs, the church you go to, the gym you're part of, everything that you do in your life, you have a network of people. So unless you live in a cave, you have a network. Now, some people may not know how to naturally access that network, but that's how we help people. The second thing I hear is commitment. The ability to be there on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That's people's biggest fear. Can I make the weekly meeting? And that I said, well, I can't be here because we have, for those who don't know, we have a weekly meeting. People,
Yes.
it'd be a lot easier if it was every couple of weeks. I said, do you know what would be even easier? If we only met once a month. I said, but do you know why we don't? It wouldn't work because
True.
networking is about depth of relationship, not breadth of relationship. You can meet on a monthly basis, and that's a lot easier for your calendar and your diary and a lot less commitment, but it's going to take you so much longer to build the depth of relationships where people are going to be willing to open up their little black book to you and give you access to all their network. So when people turn around to me and say, look, it's a big commitment to be here weekly, absolutely. Because we want to help you change your business. We actually want to help you expedite your growth through relationships, through networking, through referral marketing. We couldn't give that to you if it is once a month. We have to help you have the system and the process and give you the visibility and the chance to build your credibility. And we give you these weekly meetings to do that. We have some organizations that turn around and go, oh, yeah, we're different to BNI. We make it easier for our customers because we only meet once a month. We meet every 2 weeks. And I said, but yeah, it's easier, absolutely. But is it effective? And so so I don't know, what was your thoughts? What would you say the people's biggest concern
I,
are?
yeah, I think you make a great point because does that not all stem from accountability?
Well, I think if you're talking about it does come down to accountability is people's biggest fear. I don't think people would actually put it down to I don't like being held accountable. I think sometimes entrepreneurs, I mean, well, let's be honest, a lot of people in BNI, majority of people in BNI are actual owners of their business.
Yeah,
Why are they owners of business? They don't want anybody else telling them what to do.
correct.
So actually, when you come into a process and a system where you are basically saying, look,
Telling you
this
what
is
to
how we
do.
do things around here, for some people like, who the hell do you think you are? Who do
Pretty
you think you're
much.
going to tell me what to do? I
Pretty
mean,
much.
I've run my own business. I stopped working for employers because basically I didn't want anybody telling me what to do. And now you're
Correct.
telling me I need to be here at a certain time on a certain day every single week. Who the hell do you think you are? And look, again, I respect that. I totally respect that. And I get it. But I think like the experience you had, if somebody comes in and they have that experience and they are made to feel welcome, they see the opportunities being presented to them, I think the smartest people go, do you know what? If I could actually have a system and a process that's going to help me increase my business through recommendation, because you and I both know, as most people do, people still love getting business by recommendation. The closure rate's higher.
The word of
The,
mouth. It's always
yeah,
word of mouth.
closure rate's higher, the quality of the business you get is better, the repeat business is higher from recommendation. However, even in today's, I mean, like we've been using it for years, Cuddy, haven't we? About how recommendation is so much more powerful than unlike cold calling.
It is.
Um, and I think even today, it's even more so than 20 years ago. If you think about it, I I don't buy anything without reviewing it now. I mean, I want to buy a new pair of running shoes. I'll go and see what the reviews are like on it. And I actually remember telling this story a bit embarrassingly. Actually, I remember when we were doing up our last house, and we're doing some work in the garden. My wife caught me in the morning on the B&Q website, looking at garden forks and checking out reviews on garden forks. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just want to get a garden fork, but I don't want to get a rubbish one. I want to check out what other people are saying about the garden forks." I mean, we go on holidays, we check the reviews of other people on holidays. We buy a TV, we check the reviews on the TV. People rarely buy anything these days unless they say, what do other people think about it? And so our services as business owners and operators, we've got to have to accept the fact that people are going to say, what do other people think about your services? And what we allow people to do, as you know, is given that network of people around them who are the cheerleaders, who are the people going, I'd recommend Cuddy. He's fantastic. Yeah, you should go and see Cuddy. He's fantastic. So having that network of people around it is actually fueling the way society is now thinking and acting about how we buy. Because you're ready to go to the internet and go, oh, look, number one on the internet, that company, I'll go with that one that's been sponsored by themselves.
Yes, because it's just a paid ad that gets you to the top of the link.
What do everybody else think about them? That's what we really care about.
I'm more surprised that you got caught on the B&Q website, to be fair. I think that was
Other
of all
DIY
the
stores
websites to be
other
caught on.
DIY stores are available.
Of all the one to be caught on. Excuse me, love. I'm on the B&Q website. Leave me.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a
exactly.
new fork. Just that's all I'm looking for. I love it. That's absolutely fantastic. So I think you make a really good point there, and especially now, and especially with AI, and especially with the social media, and especially out there, the biggest thing that I hear more and more is people feel disconnected. They're feeling more disconnected, not welcomed, not feeling like anything's for them. And there's this massive disparity of pushing away from people instead of bringing them together. And that is I actually know two people in our chapter say, I'm just in it for the banter, to be fair. I'm genuinely just in the room to be connected. And I think one of the things that's missed out in when you join a BNI is that the level of competency and expertise in that room, if you see it as a room you want to be into so that you move to that level, can actually be a powerful concept instead of going into that room and thinking, oh, I'm not ready. And I know that's a mindset shift, but I always try and get into the room that's better than me so that I move to that level. And I know it's an old adage of your network is your net worth. So if you want to be in a room with, it's your five people around you, look at your five people around you and see where you're going to move to in life. And I think that's a really powerful part. And you're right, it's not just being nice, any networking. And I think when you are that self-aware and open to things, you'll realize whether the room. And it's funny because the amount of times we've had people from other chapters and they said, oh no, I visited this one, it wasn't for me, but I've enjoyed the experience here. And that's the thing. For any networking you go to, if that room's not for you, then it doesn't mean that networking's not for you. It just means that room wasn't for you. And find another room until you find that room where you feel part of it. And I think that's a powerful concept.
Yeah, and then again, going back to like my original point, really is what do you want from networking, and then seek the events that give you the opportunity. There are certain events like where you can have certain industry sectors or certain sectors are being represented there. Do you need to be in a room where you've got similar sectors to you? Do you need to be in the room where you've got people? Depending what you want. If you want advice and guidance and you want to be, and you're a travel agent, be in a room full of other travel agents. If you want to sell holidays, don't go to a room with other travel agents in it. So it's got, do you understand what you want from your networking is the first important question to ask yourself, and then do your research of where those events are, because networking is people's. I remember once having a conversation with some people in a trade stand it was a solicitor's practice, and I knew this company well, they were BNI members, and they had a trade stand at this event, and I just got chatting to them, and there was like four of them there, four people pretty well high up in this practice. And I was just chatting about this. So I was surprised you have a trade stand here. Oh, yeah, it was great value. It only cost us something like £600. And this is going back a few years. I said, how much do you charge out as an hour? Because there's four of you here and you're here for the whole day. That sounds quite expensive to me.
Yeah.
So it really is a case of thinking you've got to pick the events that are right for you, understanding what you want, be in the right place. And again, have a purpose. Look at it as a part of your marketing strategy. Because that's what it is, networking. It's part of your marketing strategy. And treat it in the same way, with the same respect. It's not just a case of going along and having a chat. And because again, also what you'll see in networking events is people go into the room and what do? Go to the mates they know. They naturally go to the people they know, because do you know why people, and I love making this point because I think it's such a relevant point. I would say 99% of people who network are not natural networkers.
Right.
It's not what they want to do. They don't want to walk up to complete strangers and say, hey, Carly, we've never met before. Let's start a conversation.
True.
It is so alien. And do you know why I truly believe that happens and why people feel like that? What were you always told by your parents never to do when you were a kid?
Talk to strangers.
Talk to strangers.
Yeah.
It was almost beaten into us not to talk to strangers.
It was. It becomes a
then what are we actually expected to do as grown adults with all this learning we've had as children? Is now we're saying, no, don't talk to strangers. You get told that for most of your growing up in formative years, And now you're a business person. Now you're meant to have natural skills about how to go and talk to people in a strange environment. It's why most people struggle with it.
It's true.
So, good thing is, networking is a skill, and all skills can be learned.
Very true, and that's the power of the weekly meetings. It's you don't have to speak to someone straight away, but within a month being in there, 2 months being in there, you feel connected, you feel part of a team, you feel like you are in a place that's going to help and increase things, and you are creating that mindset of, oh well, if I can do that, what else can I do? And it's a powerful system that just keeps building. To be fair, any kind of networking, but yeah, absolutely what we do. Right, I'm conscious of time. I know you're an extremely busy man. What's your worst networking nightmare?
Well, do you know what? You said this at the start about like I probably done some networking. I didn't do any networking until I got involved in BNI because I learned everything I needed to learn about networking from BNI.
Yeah,
And seriously, what I've learned a lot over the years is things that people could or should do. So I mean, as I've already said, there's a couple of things I would always recommend people do who are thinking about networking as a way to build their business
yeah,
is first and foremost, say, pick your events. You have to be prepared to invest the time into it. And what I mean by that is no point going to one event every 12 months and expecting to pick up business.
yeah,
You have to nurture the relationships. You have to be seen. You have to get known. You have to be visible. I mean, you know, Cuddy, we talk about visibility, credibility, profitability, the VCP model in BNI.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's not a BNI model. It's just basically a model for success in business. If you want to be successful, first people need to know who you are and what you do. You then have to get credible with people in terms of the service that you provide, your reputation and everything else. And if you can do those two things, then you can move into the profitability stage with your relationships. But it takes time. And the challenge with networking, I think people are too impatient with it. And if we say
that's true. It's
about
true.
about it, it's a relationship. Think about a personal relationship. I ask this question quite a lot at events when we're talking about networking. Is there anybody in the room who asked their partner to marry them on the first date? And I haven't had a hand go up yet. I'm really hoping one hand goes up once. Okay, but I've never had a hand go up yet. I said, so why would you expect to meet somebody in a business environment and then basically try to get them into a marriage with them on business on day one? I said, people are protecting their reputations very much in business, rightly so. They're not going to meet
Yeah.
someone from day one and then just start opening up. I mean, we meet. I met my wife online, funnily enough. I met my wife online, through online dating many years ago now, 18 years, I think it was. One of the very early online networking ones. And but we kind of dated for months, and I think it was she reminded me it was 2 years after we actually dated that I actually said to her, "Would you marry me?" I mean, because you need to learn, have you got the same visions? Have you got the same beliefs? Do you actually have the same values in life? And people go to a networking event and expect somebody to pass their biggest client to them within 5 minutes of meeting them, or they jam business cards under their nose, and that's not the way to build relationships, in my opinion. And
No,
people
that's
may
true.
choose to disagree with
No.
me, but I think when I see people that are very successful networkers, they are very strategic in their networking. Great tip for any networkers would be this. If you can do, and it's not always possible, ask the organizers to provide a delegate list in advance of who's going to be in the room. Now, that way, what you can do is do your research on who's going to be there so you can be very strategic when you get there. So rather than going around and talking to maybe 20, 30 people and you just miss on each of the ones you want, you could go there, meet 6 people that you really want to speak to, then leave because you've
Yeah.
done your work. Networking, it is work.
It is work. You got to make it
So
part of your, yeah.
understand that you can do your research. If I want to sort of meet up with 𝗏𝗏𝗏, I think he could be a really good guy for me. I go and look up on his website. I find out a little bit about him. Oh, Cuddy, lovely to meet you. Hey, congratulations on that recent work you've done with a client. Absolutely fantastic. I saw that on your website. Now, straight away, you're going, hey, this guy's interested in me.
Yeah.
I'm not selling to you. I'm actually using things I've learned about you. And again, that's strategic. So again, networking is working, so be strategic in it. So get there, identify who you want to network with, ensure you've got your networking tools with you. If they don't provide a name badge, make sure you've got a nice name badge on. If you use business cards, if you don't use business cards, how are you going to be contacting with somebody afterwards,
Yeah.
after the event? Understand what you want the objective to be. And
Yeah.
then make sure you don't spend too much time with your mates at the networking events and you get to speak to the people you want to speak to.
And that's a comfort zone thing. The reason people do that is because they want to stay in that comfort zone, because when we go into growth areas, that's when we start feeling uncomfortable. So we
Well,
shrink.
we do it because we think our parents are going to beat us again if we speak to strangers.
Ha!
So
That unconscious bias. No, you're not
yeah.
wrong. You're not wrong
And,
at all.
and a great tip, if you're a nervous networker, and a lot of us are, and I put myself into that. I mean, listen, I'll stand on stage and talk about networking, but I am a person that is basically a situational networker or a situational. If you put me into a bar full of strangers or even a networking event, I have to really put my networking hat on to go, okay, Mike, work the room, go and talk to people. I was at an event yesterday in Wales at a members' day, a fantastic event, but I still have to take myself out my comfort zone
Yeah.
because I still don't like walking up to strangers. I fear rejection. Are they going to go, who are you? Sorry, we were talking right then. I always go up and say, you look like an open two. Do you mind if I join you? And they're like, yeah, come
Now,
and have
if you don't understand the term open too, that's opened up a whole new can of worms.
a
So do you know what? Because I know we're going to wrap up now and
Oh,
things
sorry,
like
I can give you a look. I'm enjoying this, Cuddy. So we've probably got
that.
a few
So the
more minutes on
premise
the
was,
call.
if I'm not enjoying it, Cuddy, you've got 45.
Yeah, well, I've got to look. We're all busy people, but I
You
enjoy
know,
where you're going with this.
it's so in that effort of being openness. I actually don't like networking events. I genuinely don't like small talk. It absolutely, I just zone out. So, funnily enough, what I do when I go to the bigger events and I do vape is I try to do as much business as possible in the smoking area and the vaping area, because I genuinely like the chat we're talking there, because it takes you away from the loudness, it takes you away from the noisiness. And the amount of business I've done in the vaping area or the smoking area has paid massive dividends for me. And that is strategic. That genuinely is strategic. And I'm quite a large gentleman, and yes, I have the hair. So every time I go to those larger events, the amount of people say, "Oh, someone needs to go and speak to Cuddy." It's been very nice, and it's genuinely. There's always someone down there being I say, "Oh, you need to go and speak to Cuddy." So that's the genuine what I get from it. But I always say to him, "Can we go out of the way because it's too noisy?" Bearing in mind, I'm a noisy gentleman. I don't like noise, and I can't make that connection. So it's funny that it's one of those strange things in those bigger events. Even I get a little bit like, oh, can I not just go and stand outside, have a vape? And I'd rather have a conversation there, to be fair. And
But
it's
yeah,
yeah,
you hit on a point there, though, actually, is again a really relevant point, actually. And I've heard this before about how a lot of business is done in the smoking area. Why? Because you've got something in common.
yeah.
And it's easier to do business with people you've got a conversation to start with. Oh, so you're one of the outcasts as well, are you? It's sort of like, and you straight away, you've got a dialogue with each other.
Yep.
And it's that having that common ground. So when you are thinking about and you're doing your research before you go to an event, see if you can find something you've got in common with the person you want to speak to.
Yep.
So check out their social media. I mean, I'm not encouraging people to stalk people here, but I mean, if you can actually find that they've got an interest that you've got, or you can
Yep.
relate to something that they do, and you can get that into the conversation, that always eases the conversation. And that's why people in the smoking corner, whatever it is, always find it easier to strike up a conversation, do business,
Yep.
because they've got a common interest, which a lot of other people do not understand these days.
Yep. Yep. I honestly I do it. I don't mind the big rooms and things like that. But there is a lot of the times that I'm like, just let me get out of it because it is noisy. And I know I'm noisy. I know I'm loud, as my wife often tells me. Just shut up is a general term for me. I'm like, no, that's just me talking at my normal level. So I do like that. I'm going to go outside, gather myself. But that took practice for me to understand that, yes, I know I stand out like a sore thumb, and I do stand out, and I do that purposely for visibility. I genuinely do that for visibility, especially, I mean, you're not going to walk around with a haircut like this if you don't want some kind of visibility. Let's be honest. Um, and the amount of people when I do go down to be nice, hey, Cuddy, hey, Cuddy, hey, Cuddy, and that's when I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's a really powerful concept. So there's a lot of terms out there. And I know that we have niched a little bit on BNI and things like that, but out of the core values and the core identity that we have at BNI, or let's just say out for our networking, overgeneralizing it, what is the one that stands out for you? We always do this in a meeting, and we always reach out to someone in the room and say, which one stands out for you? Why it's successful for you? What's the one value that we follow that sticks out for you, Mike?
Two spring to mind, and
I
so
said one, Mike. I said one.
I know, I know. And if I'm one can lead into the other one in a sense, because the two for me are givers gain and accountability.
It is, yeah.
Because for me, but you could say, well, listen, if you are accountable, then you'll live givers gain anyway, because the accountability aspect of it will understand that, you know what, in life, the more you give, the more you receive. You know, what goes around comes around. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. If that's the way you live your life and you're accountable to yourself for being that person, then I truly believe BNI is going to work for people. I truly believe that accountability is what determines successful BNI members and the ones that aren't so successful. And what I mean by that is it's accountability to their fellow members, is accountability to the system and the process, and accountability to themselves. I mean, as you know, I mean, just for those who are not involved in BNI, say we have a weekly meeting. Now, people can get a substitute to go to that weekly meeting if they cannot make it, but they need to be visible. And the reason we have that there is because if they're not visible, they can't win business because people are going to forget about them. A bit
Can't
like
build
if you only
trust.
go to a networking event every now and then.
Can't
People are
build trust.
accountable to preparing their own weekly presentation so they can educate their sales team.
Yeah.
They're accountable to actually finding business opportunities for other people because it is about givers gain. And if you're accountable to yourself to make sure you go and help somebody else, it will come back in bucket loads to you. You're accountable for your own education and your own personal development and becoming a better version of yourself so you can be a better contributor to others to help yourself back and learn how to become more skilled. And when you sort of see where there's less accountability, you tend to see people that will either not turn up, they'll turn up late, they'll do the bare minimum. And I use this actually in the presentation yesterday. I say there's a big difference between get to and got to members. Got to members are the ones who will turn around and think about this in anything. It could be in BNI, it can be in any networking. I've got to go to a networking event. Yeah, my boss told me I've got to go out there and start sort of making some new contacts. BNI members say, yeah, I've got to go every week. Well, I've got to stand up and do a weekly presentation. I've got to go and find referrals for other people. I've got to go on training courses and I've got to meet these people outside of the meeting and do one-to-ones meetings. Or the other people will go, the get-tos will go is, I get to meet every single week with a group of business people who are going to help me grow professionally and my business. I get to educate a sales team every single week with doing a weekly presentation. I get to help other local business people thrive, and therefore they're going to help me back. I get to deeply understand people's businesses through having one-to-ones, and they get to understand my business so we can both pass each other more business opportunities. And I get to go on training and immerse myself in skills and knowledge that's going to actually help me become a much better networker. So I think it is a mindset, but that mindset then turns into behaviors, and that behaviors turns into holding yourself accountable. And I've got it written on my wall up here, and I'll point at it because this is a line I stole from a fantastic presenter, Alan Stein, at the BNI Global Convention in Sydney. And I think this is a really good one to use for anybody who's a leader, anybody who's part of an organization such as BNI, where there is accountability. And Alan Stein was a coach to basketball players on mindset and worked with the NBA players, really top level about really understanding what drove them, what motivated, what made great players, and what made the difference between them. And holding someone accountable is something you do for them, not to them. Yeah, holding someone accountable is something you do for them, not to them. And again, people that care about us hold us accountable because they want the best for us, They want us to be the best versions of ourselves. And holding people accountable means that you believe in them, that you trust them, that they can do something. And people say, oh, wow, who are BNI to tell me I need to be on a weekly basis? Who are the leadership team, the committee to tell me that I need to come regularly, or I need to bring a contribution, or I got to do this? It's because that accountability helps you be the best version of yourself. It helps you achieve the goals and objectives of why you decided to put an application in the first place, because you wanted to grow your business. And only through that accountability can we be confident that you're going to have the very best chance of being successful.
That's true. It's true. It's powerful. I've heard you say that I get to every week. Yeah, I agree with that. I do. There's a lot of people that, and that's anything in life. We get to do it, and that's a choice, and that's a mindset shift. I'll tell you what I like, and this is what when I you know I think when we get into that networking, role that we move into, and we're always. It's funny because whenever I start talking about BNI, my wife's or my family's eyes just zone out. Oh God, is he talking about? And there's a lot of business people in our family, and I'm like, you really should come and have a. Oh no, it's not for me. It's the more right. No worries. And I remember a family member very close said, "Well, yeah, I've been there twice. I didn't get any business." I'm like, well, no. You've got to plant a seed, and then you've got to put some water on it. Then we've got to put some manure on it, and then we've got to cultivate it. I mean, that's the point of farming, farming and cultivating, not hunting. Oh no, I ain't got the time for that. Nope, not a problem. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But that's the mindset shift from farming and cultivating that helps it. But the one thing I genuinely like, and I tell everyone, is I like the fact, and I don't think many other networking groups offer this. But I like the fact that I am globally connected from a local town.
Yeah, I think that is, look,
Globally.
there's probably a few differentiators, BNI to other organizations. Again, all have their merits, and
Yeah.
I'm not here to say we're better
No.
than others. But I think one thing that we do very, very well is give members a global reach. And I think
Yeah.
members are only really starting to understand that now.
I
I
visit
think
chapters in Dubai
yeah,
all the time.
since COVID, I think people have realized the world's a lot smaller. Technology is really expedited in terms of what we can now do, and then we have the opportunity as members, as you know, to access. Every single member within BNI, 370,000 of them across the globe through your phone, effectively, and that's incredible. And what's exciting, what's coming now, is the investment of AI that we're putting into. We partnered with a company called AI Personal, I think it's called. And there's going to come a time, not in the too distant future, where you'll be able to wake up in the morning, Cuddy, and go, and your phone will tell you who you should be speaking to across the world based on your profile, based on your statistics, and who else is around the world who you should be connected to.
Oh, now there's a little cheeky curtain reveal for the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that gets your juices flowing. That I'll say the word that will make me very moist.
yeah.
It'll also give everyone an incentive to actually fill in the bio.
Yeah. Well, again, it's interesting. Well, I mean, look, it's so exciting what the AI technology can do for us and how it can actually help members. So if you think about it, a member joins a chapter, they don't know how to make BNI work for them. And then your phone basically tells you, here's are the top professions that would be great strategic partners for you. Here's some suggestions of people locally in the region who we'd recommend you reach out to and arrange a one-to-one with. Here's some suggestions for your 60-second presentation. And all that's going to come.
You know what, Mike? I'm going to finish it on that because that is extremely exciting.
Yeah.
Extremely exciting. Well done. Well done.
Well, I
That's
wish I could
good.
take the credit for it, but we've got an amazing global team working on this technology. And listen, credit to all the leaders that we have at the highest level, because 18 months ago they were saying, look, AI, we need to be on this now.
Yeah, we do.
And we are really excited about the opportunities that it presents us from all different angles in terms of how we can have our leadership teams manage chapters better and quicker and easier, where all the data is just given to them rather than to fill in reports and work things out themselves, to actually helping our members find new contacts. So yeah, lots more to come
Yeah.
on that.
Wow. Do you know what? That's the beautiful way we are, genuinely. Thank you, so, Mike. It's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much for giving up your time. Thank you, because I know you've just come back from America and I know you're extremely busy. Thank you very much for gracing us on the Mind Management Mentors podcast. The value that we've just given out for any coach or any business wanting to, well, how do we get more referrals? I've been told I've got to do Google ads. I've been told I've got to get this AI thing that's going to deliver the leads. I've got to do this. Do you know what? Sometimes face to face, and getting a recommendation from somebody you trust is probably going to be more beneficial, and it generates. The reason I like BNI is building relationships. I do. It's always been. I've always liked the fact that it's accountability. I'm accountable to the people in the room, but I have always liked the building relationships part. I think it's massively important. I think that's been a powerful change for a lot of people when they join the room.
I mean, building relationships obviously is critical, isn't it? But it's
Yeah.
hard to build relationships without the accountability, and you can't have the accountability without the relationships. So you've got to work together as a team, and I think that's where it all marries up nicely.
Perfect. It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank
Not
you,
a problem
Cuddy.
at all. Stay there, Mike, 'cause I've got a question after, but thank you very much to everyone on the Mind Management Mentors podcast. We're coming up to 35,000, 40,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe and share. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as always, big love from Cuddy. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Mind Management Mentors podcast.